The RoboBee flies solo in the Harvard Microrobotics Lab on a late afternoon in August. Decades of research culminated in a moment of stress as the tiny, groundbreaking RoboBee made its first solo flight. Graduate student Elizabeth Farrell Helbeling, Ph.D. 19, and postdoctoral fellow Noah T. Jaffris from the Harvard John A. Paulson School of Engineering and Applied Sciences (SEAS), the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences and the Wyss Institute for Biologically Inspired Engineering caught the moment on camera. Helbeling, who has worked on the project for 6 years, counted down. 3, 2, 1, go. The bright halogen switched on and the solar-powered RoboBee launched into the air. For a terrifying second, the tiny robot, still without onboard steering and control, careened towards the lights. Off-camera, Helbeling exclaimed and cut the power. The RoboBee fell dead out of the air, caught by its Kevlar safety harness. "That went really close to me," Helbeling said, with a nervous laugh. "It went up," Jaffris, who has also worked on the project for about 6 years, responded excitedly from the high-speed camera monitor where he was recording the test. And with that, Harvard University's RoboBee reached its latest major milestone, becoming the lightest vehicle ever to achieve sustained untethered flight. "This is a result several decades in the making," said Robert Wood, Charles River Professor of Engineering and Applied Sciences at SEAS, core faculty member of the Wyss Institute and principal investigator of the RoboBee project. Powering flight is something of a catch-22 as the trade-off between mass and power becomes extremely problematic at small scales where flight is inherently inefficient. It doesn't help that even the smallest commercially available batteries weigh much more than the robot. We have developed strategies to address this challenge by increasing vehicle efficiency, creating extremely lightweight power circuits, and integrating high-efficiency solar cells. The milestone is described in Nature. To achieve untethered flight, this latest iteration of the RoboBee underwent several important changes, including the addition of a second pair of wings. The change from 2 to 4 wings, along with less visible changes to the actuator and transmission ratio, made the vehicle more efficient, gave it more lift, and allowed us to put everything we need on board without using more power, said Jaffris. The addition of the wings also earned this RoboBee the nickname X-Wing, after the 4-winged starfighters from Star Wars. That extra lift, with no additional power requirements, allowed the researchers to cut the power cord, which has kept the RoboBee tethered for nearly a decade, and attach solar cells and an electronics panel to the vehicle. The solar cells, the smallest commercially available, weigh 10 milligrams each and get 0.76 milliwatts per milligram of power when the sun is at full intensity. The RoboBee X-Wing needs the power of about 3 Earth suns to fly, making outdoor flight out of reach for now. Instead, the researchers simulate that level of sunlight in the lab with halogen lights. The solar cells are connected to an electronics panel under the Bee, which converts the low-voltage signals of the solar array into high-voltage drive signals needed to control the actuators. The solar cells sit about 3 centimeters above the wings, to avoid interference. In all, the final vehicle, with the solar cells and electronics, weighs 259 milligrams, about a quarter of a paperclip, and uses about 120 milliwatts of power, which is less power than it would take to light a single bulb on a string of LED Christmas lights. When you see engineering in movies, if something doesn't work, people hack at it once or twice and suddenly it works. Real science isn't like that, said Helbeling. We hacked at this problem in every which way to finally achieve what we did. In the end, it's pretty thrilling. The researchers will continue to hack away, aiming to bring down the power and add onboard control to enable the RoboBee to fly outside. Over the life of this project, we have sequentially developed solutions to challenging problems, like how to build complex devices at millimeter scales, how to create high-performance millimeter-scale artificial muscles, bio-inspired designs, and novel sensors, and flight control strategies, said Wood. Now that power solutions are emerging, the next step is onboard control. Beyond these robots, we are excited that these underlying technologies are finding applications in other areas such as minimally invasive surgical devices, wearable sensors, assistive robots, and haptic communication devices, to name just a few. Harvard has developed a portfolio of intellectual property (IP) related to the fabrication process for millimeter-scale devices. This IP, as well as related technologies, can be applied to microrobotics, medical devices, consumer electronics and a wide range of complex electromechanical systems. Harvard's Office of Technology Development is exploring opportunities for commercial impact in these fields. This research was co-authored by Michael Karpelson. It was supported by National Science Foundation and the Office of Naval Research. Development of ice-controlling tech using pressure. Can water freeze at room temperature or even higher temperatures at which ordinary water boils? Formation of so-called warm ice may be an unfamiliar phenomenon to the general public and yet can be made possible by controlling the crystallization process in which liquid turns into a solid. In principle, such manipulation could be achieved not only by changing temperature but also pressure. However, the latter requires exerting extreme level of pressure, 10,000 times the atmospheric pressure, on water. The Center for Convergence Property Measurement, Frontier in Extreme Physics team at Korea Research Institute of Standards and Science (KRIS), President Sang Ryul Park, succeeded in creating room temperature ice and controlling its growth behaviors by dynamically compressing water up to pressures above 10,000 atmospheres. By systematically varying the compression rates, the research team discovered a sudden morphological crossover from 3-dimensional to 2-dimensional ice. Rigorous investigation unveiled the underlying mechanism of the anomalous growth transition, which is manifested in the forms of shape and growth speed changes of ice. Such high-pressure technology and phenomena can have significant impact on a wide range of practical applications: biology, foods, medical, and aerospace. This technology is significant in that the size, shape, and growth rate of ice can be artificially controlled regardless of the temperature. Ice observed in nature has more than 10,000 crystals, including hexagonal plates, columns, and dendrites. Such ice crystals of various forms induce curiosity about nature as well as having significant industrial applications. Especially, controlling ice crystals with pressure rather than temperature can resolve existing problems of ice, so there is great interest in this endeavor. A representative example is foods. When meat is frozen at regular atmospheric pressure, hexagonal plate ice crystals with needle-like corners are created, and cause damages of the cells and tissue. This is why meat from the freezer is less juicy and does not taste as good as unfrozen meat. However, when meat is frozen at high pressure, ice crystals of different shapes that are not sharp in corners are produced, protecting the quality of the meat. Ice formed on airplanes can cause aircraft defects and accidents. On days with snow and at an altitude of 10,000 meters, where the temperature falls below 40? Below zero, ice forms on aircraft wings. When ice crystals are formed abnormally, the wing shape changes, degrading the lift. Thus, control of the growth rate and form of ice crystals greatly affects the safety and operation efficiency of aircraft. KRIS principal research scientists Yun-Hee Lee, Suong Lee, and Jun-Woo Lee developed a real-time dynamic diamond anvil cell device that can apply pressures up to 5 million times that of atmospheric pressure per second and applied the device to study ice growth under high pressures. As a result, the research team succeeded in compressing water at room temperature to produce high-pressure ice and succeeded in transforming 3-dimensional octahedron ice into a 2-dimensional wing-shape ice through dynamic pressure control. This technology is an independent technology that can simultaneously measure the pressure, volume, image, and molecular structure of materials by integrating driving control and molecular vibration measurement technologies to the diamond anvil cell, which implements an extremely high-pressure environment. The focus of similar research has conventionally been on the control of temperature and concentration. Clear observation of fast crystal growth was not possible due to time delay from inevitable thermal and mass diffusion. On the other hand, pressure allowed for immediate and uniform application and overcoming of existing limitations so that the crystallization process of water molecules can be understood in detail and controlled. KRIS principal research scientist Yun-Hee Lee said, application of high-pressure freezing technology can lead to new forms of ice crystals and freezing processes to maintain the taste and freshness of foods. Applying this technology to the cold chain system currently used in the logistics of fresh foods is expected to further improve the marketability of foods. KRIS principal research scientist Jun-Woo Lee explained that this technology can be applied to analyze various crystalline structures. The range of application fields is infinite. Also, principal research scientist Suong Lee continued, new material characteristics can be discovered under extreme environments like those of extremely high pressure, so science and technologies that have reached limits can be pushed further towards new dimensions.